Yeah,
Very late. Can you bring him back into the most physical game you can possibly bring him back for?
he wouldn't have it any other way. He, you know, Dowie loves an abrasive challenge for sure. And it's interesting because Jack Morgan's obviously with us as well, who will return for the Leinster game, but we brought him here because obviously it's first back into rugby. And it's certainly fair to say that with those two around, training's gone up a level on a competitive front. But that's what we want because you want to be challenged like you're going to be challenged in a game.
Last week's game, you richly deserve any plaudits. Was there a tinge of frustration at the end to let them in for that late bonus, just given how tight it is in the table?
I think from a coaching perspective, yeah, for sure. I think the players actually acknowledged, or a couple of players acknowledged that post game as well. But look, we can't be too fussy, right? If it had been 1, it's 5-1, then it's probably we can swallow that. We're sitting in a situation where we've had South African opposition 4 times this year, 1 or 4. So if someone had told you that at the start, you'd take that, wouldn't you? So we've got a chance, this weekend in a very, very difficult arena, very, very difficult opposition. High class team, high class coaching, but we have an opportunity, to win 5 from 5, and
which is amazing.
And we talked about at the start, really. It just so everyone knows that South African rugby is what it is, and certainly when you're over here, you're reminded of that. Where everywhere you turn, the angle of questioning you get from local press, from how it's reported. It's a way of life over here. So I think that whatever happens at the weekend, we've certainly got some respect, and Welsh rugby's got some respect in this part of the world because of the actions of the team, and the team have done brilliantly.
Yeah, you can't help, I guess, this weekend when you'll have one eye on all the other results going on.
Yeah,
Cardiff could do you a favour.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be texting Jockey later just to make sure. No, and no, we're in contact for sure. But yeah, it would be nice, but we've just couldn't deal with what's in front of us. As boring it is to report, we can only control ourselves, and we know that we can't look beyond this challenge and be relying on other results. And the ironic thing is that we end up playing each other in Welsh derbies at the end of it. So they could do us a favour and then not do us a favour. So from that point of view, we just need to try and take care of ourselves, really.
Yeah. I mean, these 3 games, starting with last week's, now this week, and then next week, I mean, it's you couldn't perhaps not ask for a harder 3 games all away from home. I mean, the size of that test for your players is enormous, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what you do it for. And I think that there's ways of looking for it. I mean, you could say, for example, why are we competitive, irrespective of all the nuts and bolts, and there's an element of confidence and reinforcement in sport, as you know, and we've gone really well. Our South African trips at the end. Scarlets, for example, went early, and they've had their own issues this year, and it's not just happens to be them as an example, but it just shows you that confidence and momentum is a massive thing in sport. So we'll see what happens from our stuff. But yeah, as you say, you couldn't probably write 3 harder fixtures: Stormers, Bulls, Leinster, all away together with 5 games to go.
Yeah. Well, right, that's enough for me. Listen, good luck, Toby. Good luck on the weekends. Same again, please.
Yeah. You sound like my CEO.
That's more than enough from Lloydie. Right, switch off, Lloydie. Last week was amazing. To do it back to back would be incredible.
Yeah, would you? 100%. No denying it. No shirking away from it. And we talked about earning respect. People pay you more respect. They pay slightly different. And people sharpen their pencil selection. They might be looking at doing squad rotations, but ultimately you move into a different arena. And look, we're in the playoff hunt for the playoffs. We know that it's really difficult. If you looked at the fixtures, you're probably thinking we're an outside bet. But sport has a way of keeping things interesting for sure.
Yeah, well, that's quite right. You're one of those teams, as we've said all season, that nobody wants to play. You become a gnarly, nasty, horrible team, just like the coach.
Well, they say respects your coach reflects its leaders, doesn't it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Perhaps I don't know who the leader is. I don't know. Sure. No, it's we know what we are, and we're proud of what we are, and we understand. I talked at the very start of this call about effort and what it takes to be an Ospreys player, an Ospreys member of staff, because the team is the biggest, most important thing, and what you do to contribute to that. And as a result, build a strong culture that you can rely on, and the players and staff should take an enormous amount of pride and praise for that, because we've all been through some rough stuff and come out the other side so far. And the exciting thing is we've created a bit of a narrative that it can be done, and we'll look to try and continue.
It's amazing how we've always been starstruck in Welsh rugby, and it's always been about the glamour players, whether it's been Alan Wynne or George or Dutch. But Rhys Henry packing down at tight head in that game last week, and James Ratty coming through, Nagy coming back and playing so well, and Jack Walsh coming in from outside. I mean, I wouldn't call them misfits, but you've got a group of players together who aren't at the pinnacle of people's thinking, but you've pushed them up the ladder.
Not yet, Rob. They will be, though.
No, not up to there. But I mean, you've pushed them up and made the most of them. And the sum of your parts, it's a very strong whole.
Yeah, it is. And look, I think that it's not me. We just create the opportunity in the environment and the coaches. The players have to decide. And the players have decided that they want it to look and feel like this. And that's what you get. So, yes, well, of course, we're all in it. And I think that the players that you mentioned, are great, probably a little bit of shrewd recruitment. So like on a James Ratty side of things, taking Hughes Sutton and Max Nagy out of Swansea Uni, for example. Rhys Henry's been around for ages, even though, he's now breaking through in the position that he is. But I think that you've got to work hard, recruitment-wise and development-wise and programs. You've got to work hard and just got to get quality into it that wants to achieve and see where it takes you. And I think as I said, when I came in a few seasons back, I said that we would try and grow our own. And, we're bearing fruit of that,
Yeah. Interesting. The Bulls took a punt on Europe and, to take their best saving for Munster. They've lost that. They've lost 3 games now. So it's going to be fire and brimstone, isn't it?
Yeah, it was the last time we were here, to be fair. It was when there was a hailstorm just before kickoff and it was delayed by 45 minutes. There'll be the usual altitude sign as you walk out the tunnel. So, yeah, it'll be business as usual, to be fair, at Loftus from that point of view. But that's what you play the game for. You play the game not to be ordinary. You play the game to challenge yourself. And we're really looking forward to it. But as I said, if it doesn't go our way at the weekend, and look, we're prepared very well for this game, and we've got some boys back and got some energy. So we're obviously respectful of our opposition, and if it goes our way, but if it doesn't, 4 out of 5 versus South African opposition is not too bad.
Yeah. So you talked about 42 minutes ball in play time and the back row being out on their feet. What was Harry Deeves' GPS?
I think he actually did have a high-speed effort personal best in this game. So, I mean, Deeves has been, he's an unbelievable competitor. And those sort of positions, they spur each other on. You can imagine a team that trains with Tipperick, Harry Deeves, Morgan, Jack, Dowie, you know, that's a team that eggs people on, you know.
Yeah.
And they're always pushing each other. And it was noticeable that how excited the people that were on the bench or not involved in the Stormers game wanted to be out there next time. And that's how you get this momentum, you know. So Deves has been really good. And what's been impressive about him in this season is not just the numbers and the impact, is the control. It's very easy being a competitive player, a very competitive, highly strung player, which he is. And that, I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
To do it with control, because if not, that you get on the wrong side of the penalty count and various bits and pieces. And he's learned. And the sign of a good player is how quickly they learn, and he's learning very, very quickly, which is great.
Well, the great thing is we're all very excited about this weekend.
Good.
So
let's hope we maintain that and give you something excited about.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, Rob.
Hi, Toby. Defence is getting a lot of plaudits from last weekend, and understandably so. Just what sort of impact has Mark made this season?
Brilliant one. Yeah. For me personally, having another experienced coach around really makes a massive difference, because there's things that we can bounce off each other on a personal level, and that's really good to have. And I also think he's given a massive amount of clarity to what we needed to do. You know, there's no one perfect defence system. Otherwise everyone would use the same thing, right? So, and no one would enjoy 0-0s. So from that point of view, he's given very good clarity. And there's been some nice twists in it in relation to, you know, to keep evolving it and you know, specific plans. So yeah, he's had a massive impact for sure, and he's very popular within the group. And we feel lucky to finally get that position, you know, filled with such quality.
And looking back to your last two wins against the Stormers and Sale, I think Morgan Morris was the only constant in the pack in terms of personnel or position, and yet the scrum was, you know, equally dominant in both of those matches. It almost feels like, regardless of who the personnel is, it's such a weapon for you. Just how is that?
Yeah, well, I think that, you know, obviously I made it very clear when I came in that, you know, set piece is really important. You know, obviously from my background coming out of the English Premiership, where it's very, very, very important. You know, no scrum, no chance, as it was described there. And I think that you need good platforms, and the good teams have them. And as a result, we will always recruit to that first and foremost. And that becomes even more challenging, as you say, twofold, with a decreasing budget, because those positions cost a lot of money. And if you're developing young players into those positions, it takes a lot of time. So from that point of view, we're really pleased with where we are. It'll go forward and backwards. Being scrummaging is like that. But, you know, we've got specialist coaches. Duncan, for example, Jones obviously takes care of the scrum. Richard Kelly takes care of the line out. They share the attacking defensive side of the maul. And that connects obviously with Richard Fussell in attack and Mark Jones in defence. So it's very much a team thing, but ultimately you need good platforms. You need good platforms, good stability, because it gives you a chance in every game.
Perfect. All our best of luck on the weekend, Toby.
Thank you.
Hi, Toby.
Hello.
You might be sick of being asked to talk about Morgan Morris, but if he insists on being man of the match every week, then you're going to keep on being asked to talk about him, I suppose.
Yeah, well, in our gym back at Landarcy, you know, we've got the previous players of the year around the walls at the top, and you know, he's the one that's on there for the last 3 years. You know, so from that point of view, yeah, I'm not bored about talking about him for sure.
But just what is it about Morgan's game that is turning him into such a force in the URC?
He's influential, isn't he? I mean, you talk about some of those players that have high-profile moments, and you guys in the media often see them. You know, so you will see, you know, tries scored, and you know, he has an uncanny knack of being the person who dots down 5 meters out. You know, so he has an impact in the game, and ultimately, people that have an impact in the game get the recognition. You know, for me as a coach, I'm as interested in James Ratty, who's the person that keeps pushing him over. But for you guys, it's really important. That's why it's so important. So, look, Morgan influences the game, you know, and I think he's a player that's very well versed in the type of game we're trying to play. And I think the modern game requires a lot of power as well as some guile and a lot of smart rugby players. So, you know, I think that he's a smart rugby player, that's the reason he gets himself into these positions to influence the game.
And Morgan is perhaps emblematic of the squad not having been represented that much by Wales this year. Is that something that drives the players, that sense of perhaps injustice that maybe you'd like to see, you know, more of them involved this summer as well?
I feel you looking for a headline coming along here. No, I'm joking. It's look, we'll make no bones about it. Morgan Morris wants to play international rugby, right? And all he can do is control his performances for the Ospreys. Whether he gets picked after that, that's someone else's decision in some other room somewhere else. And all he can do is have those influential moments that you guys pick up on that represent him. And if that's the attributes that people are looking for, then I'm sure he'll get picked. But in relation to the rest of the squad and feeling hard done by, we don't feel hard done by. We get what we earn. So the more times we earn it, the more chance we've got of getting individual and collective respect. So that's what it's all about.
Thanks, Toby. Best of luck on the weekend.
Thank you.
Hi, Toby.
Hello, Rich.
Hiya. I just want to talk about the Bulls, really. They have quick starters in games this season. You know, they score the most points in the first 20 minutes, really. How important will it be, really, to come out the traps quickly, but also remain disciplined as a team?
I think very important. We've spoken about the start. You know, when the conditions, altitude, heat, etc., you don't want to be chasing from too far behind, because ultimately then all the constraints, if you like, come and tap you on the shoulder and remind you that this is going to be really difficult. So it's a massive test of resilience. So the easiest way to get over that is not be there. So if we can start well and negate that super strength of theirs, that will help. That being said, if they do get it, you know, and we had similar experience with Lions, you know, away in Europe this year, we know they're a team that are fit and come home strong. And as you know, we're a team that won't go away. So from that point of view, we'd love to control that whole dialogue, but I'm not sure we'll be able to, because we're up against an extremely good team playing at home, as you say, with some extra incentive because of how their recent results have gone. So yeah, you can't underestimate how difficult this is going to be.
And you mentioned the climate and the altitude as well. Have you done any specific training into that?
It's all up there. It's all up there.
But is there anything that you know, you've only had a certain amount of time really to really get adjusted to the conditions?
Yeah.
There must be some sort of plan.
Well, look, there must be some sort of plan. Well, let's hope there's some sort of plan. Yeah. I think that, you know, we're not unlike, you know, individual athletes where you can have training camps at altitude and bits and pieces. It is what it is. There's no training transfer and, you know, acclimatization element to what we do. We just sort of go in there, be tough, muscle up, dictate the rhythm of the game, which gives you the best chance of you know, finishing strongly. And I think if you do that, then you're preserving your own energy whilst chipping away at theirs. So I think those sort of things are as important as any strategy that you've got going on.
When we come into the last couple of games now of the season, do you have in your mind now a certain points tally which you'd like to sort of aim for, really?
No, just need to make sure that you're in with a chance come the last week, right? And that's basically what you got to get to. And however you get there, whether it's 2 points every week or 4 points every week or 5 points and no points, doesn't really matter. We're not fussy how points come as long as they come. So from that point of view, you just got to keep pushing on to get yourself to the final furlong and in with the sprint finish.
And really, as the boys have already said, really the bonus points will be really crucial at this stage now, with the league being so tight. You know, even if you don't quite get the results you want at times, it's going to be crucial just to keep close in those games.
Yeah, 100%. And you've got to keep putting, runs on the board. And as if you keep taking singles, then at least you're getting the scoreboard ticking over, and that's important.
Okay, good luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
So it'll be one quick one for me. I was just going to ask you about Hughes Sutton, because he's doing a very much a kind of unsung hero job for you recently, hard worker. You talk a little bit about his development?
Yeah, I mean, Hughes obviously him and Max come out of the Swansea Uni sort of program, obviously, that we have a massive collaboration with, and the coaching from Hugh and whatever from obviously Ospreys connection, so Hooky, etc. So Hughes, a guy who, positionally good athlete, really good athlete, had to and he's bright, which gives him a great chance from a line out calling, positional specific side of things. He had some very key moments last weekend, right? And that's good because you need players, and we talked about Morgan Morris, and he provided some of those. I think he's got a good ceiling. He's got a high ceiling. The challenge for him long term will be how quickly he wants to get there, and how his mindset is to getting up that talent pyramid, if you like, because it's all come to him very quickly. So sometimes you don't take stock of where you've gone because it's all sort of coming to you at once. And I think Hughes one of those. So we're excited about having him around. I think that he has got a lot of capacity. And over the coming years, I think that he's a person that we can certainly develop to play at a very high standard consistently.